Last night, the House did something none of you sitting here thought we can do. The number of questions I could take and the number of weeks about doing appropriation bills.
Examining the complexities of the federal budget debate. Every year, passing the federal budget involves complex negotiations between Congress and the White House. Disagreements and brinksmanship are common. As the fiscal year deadline of October 1st approaches, warnings of a potential government shutdown have surfaced again. However, the reality is often less dramatic than portrayed. In this video, we'll break down the nuances of the budget debate. We'll analyze the political calculus involved, and we'll aim for a measured perspective on the real economic impacts. Understanding the federal budget process. First, it's important to understand how federal spending is authorized. Congress passes annual appropriations bills that designate federal agency budgets.
I told you, don't give up on us because we're not giving up on the American people. We passed 3 appropriation bills: defense, state, and foreign ops, and homeland security. My biggest question is I don't understand why the Democrats voted against funding the government. In all, we have 4 appropriation bills done. There's 12 overall to get done. It's the discretionary spending every year that government is supposed to do. We have now in the House passed more than 70% of the discretionary spending on appropriations. Need I remind you, how much has the Senate passed? 0. Not one appropriation bill has passed the Senate. We've done what many have said was impossible. When I became Speaker, I said we're going to change Washington. And we did that by keeping our commitment to restoring regular order. Bills that passed committee in June and July have been open for amendments for months. Struggled with a number of members who wouldn't allow it to come up, but I never gave up.
The debt ceiling caps total borrowing to fund approved spending. If appropriations lapse due to lack of agreement, non-essential agencies must cease activity until new funds are approved. This is dubbed a shutdown. In practice, true shutdowns are rare. More often, short-term continuing resolutions extend current funding while negotiations continue. Still, shutdown risk does create leverage in negotiations. Each party hopes to shape priorities in the final budget. Assessing the current landscape. In the current context, both parties have incentives to posture and attempt to gain advantage. House Republicans aim to deliver on promises to cut discretionary spending in exchange for votes. However, their slim majority limits leverage, and united Democratic opposition in the Senate restricts outcomes. Neither party benefits from public blame for disruption, but shutdown threats make compromise negotiations serious. In reality, a substantial government shutdown remains unlikely, but market anxiety may build until resolution is reached.
We want to talk about why we are here at this moment on the brink of a shutdown that was entirely unavoidable and has been brought to us by the extreme MAGA Republicans who have decided that rather than pursue the normal legislative process of trying to find common ground, not as Democrats or independents or Republicans, but as Americans, rather than try to pursue policy achievements through the normal legislative process, that they want to threaten the American people with a shutdown, to try to drive your extreme agenda down the throats of the American people. Why are we here at this moment on the brink of a catastrophic shutdown that will hurt everyday Americans, hurt children, hurt families, hurt older Americans, hurt veterans, and hurt the economy? Why are we at this moment? When from the very beginning we have said that there's an opportunity to come together in a bipartisan way consistent with the spending agreement that House Republicans themselves negotiated. And from the beginning of this process, we've said nothing more, nothing less. Simply keep your word. with respect to the agreement that you negotiated. And just so that the American people understand,
analyzing potential economic impacts. Despite the drama, past shutdowns have had minor economic effects. According to the Congressional Research Service, the longest shutdown in 1996 shaved 0.5% off of GDP growth for that quarter. However, most shutdowns last only a few days with minimal impact. Financial markets often shrug them off. The greatest damage comes from uncertainty and loss of confidence. Consumers and businesses may pause spending until risks clear. In that sense, avoiding shutdowns through timely budget resolution is optimal. Yet they are rarely financially catastrophic. Longer term, addressing unsustainable debt growth remains crucial for the economy's health. But shutdowns worsen deficits and solve nothing. Emphasizing bipartisan agreements. Avoiding shutdowns requires bipartisan deals and shared priorities. Leadership must align factions within each party. Areas ripe for agreement include infrastructure, microchip investments, veterans care, disaster relief, and defense. Trade-offs can fund these shared goals. Building consensus reduces brinkmanship. Legislative successes restore faith in government capability. Focusing negotiations on mutual interests rather than ideologically divisive topics can ease tensions over time. Preparing finances prudently. For individuals, prudent financial habits are the best defense against uncertainty. Maintaining emergency funds, avoiding over-leverage, and budgeting diligently provides stability regardless of political winds. Avoid overreacting to inflammatory headlines or partisanship. Stay focused on personal objectives and long-term discipline. And consider diversifying income streams as a hedge. Side businesses and passion projects create options and fulfillment. Times may be tense, but staying calm, proactive, and optimistic is most constructive. The nuances of politics are complex, but smart money management works in any climate. Navigating the intricacies of fiscal policy debates can be challenging. The incentives, posturing, and brinkmanship often obscure practical impacts. Avoiding catastrophizing and maintaining perspective is wise. The foundations of our economy remain far stronger than divisive rhetoric alone can undermine. With pragmatism and principle, America can move past rancor. Focusing negotiations on shared values and interests benefits all citizens in the long run. Stay confident, live within your means, and keep striving purposefully towards your goals. Our nation's best days still lie ahead.